Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Regenx Roundtable. I'm Kara Wood, your host for this series, where we dive into the latest developments, innovations, and key updates from Regenx Tech Corp. Regenx is committed to sustainable solutions in metal extraction, and this platform will serve as an open forum to discuss our journey, our technology, and the people driving our mission forward. In each episode, we'll provide insights into our operations, industry trends, and the future of clean technology in precious metals recovery. To kick things off today, I'm joined by two key leaders at Regenx who are instrumental in bringing our vision to life. First, we have Bob Fair, Head of Operations for Regenx Tech Corp. Bob will introduce himself, share an update on our operational progress, and give insight into the work happening on the ground. Also with us is Rick Purdy, President of Regenx USA, who will talk about his role, the exciting developments at our Tennessee facility, and how Regenx is positioning itself as a leader in the industry. Together, we'll discuss how Regenx is not just innovating in precious metal recovery, but also shaping a company culture built on sustainability, responsibility, and long-term impact. Let's dive in. I would just be really interested to know, what you do, where you came from, and, what's the day-to-day of Bob Fair at Regenx look like?
I just realized today I've hit 27 years in this industry, so that was in early January. Actually started at a company called Johnson Matthey back in '98 while still working in college. So I was a weekend temporary worker with them, and started in the South Jersey area. Was born in Philadelphia, which is another part of the journey of Bob Fair, I guess. So um, worked at their plant in South Jersey for about 10 years before they asked me to move to Tennessee to run a nickel plant for them. Was then I decided it would be a good idea to also open a Philly cheesesteak restaurant on the side. So the entrepreneurial bug hit me, along with trying to keep some rental properties in New Jersey. So, um, you know, I got fed up with operations after about 18 years in running operations. Took a complete break from it. Moved to the what some people call the dark side of sales. So was in sales for over 6 years, which is where I met the Regenx group. So got to meet Rick, and Rick and I connected pretty quickly, and had multiple conversations, not just about business but on personal, and had that personal connection. So when Rick reached out to me last year and asked, "Hey, would you be interested in joining this company?" My first response was, "I really don't want to run operations again, or be involved in running an operation," but took some time to reflect on it, and talk to Don some more and Rick, and decided we'd all jump into this journey together. So, not only am I bringing the operations side, but also the commercial experience, and being an entrepreneur. I get to think about the financials of everything, the revenue, the cost, the profitability of the business day to day. I definitely enjoy doing side projects around the house. So actually, as we're building this new plant in Newport, I'm getting to get involved with designing the electrical layout and the piping designs and things that I've just learned on my own in the last year and a half. So, it's been a fun, great few months. As you may know already, we decided to move plants from Greenville to Newport, and so you're basically tearing it all down and rebuilding again. And I think we can get into more of that later as far as some of those details and everything else. But that's a quick background on me.
Now, you said that you've been in the operations role for 27 years. And how many of those years have been in Tennessee? Like, I'm just curious. Do you have like deep roots in Tennessee, like lots of, connections, or what's the one?
Sorry about that. So yeah, to clarify, 27 years in the precious metals recycling and metals, with 18 of those being in the operations side. About so wait, 18, 19 years of those in operations side, and about 6 to 7 of those years. So yeah, you got to add the time up, but it's years and things like that. No, when we moved to Tennessee in '08, we were moved for Johnson Matthey to run another one of their facilities. And the original plan actually was to move back to New Jersey as the operations manager within 2 to 3 years. And after moving to Tennessee, just realized this was a much better place to raise my family. So we decided we weren't going to move to any other locations as part of Johnson Matthey's, advancement in there. So it's a small site. I was the site manager here, and I pretty much stalled my career growth by choosing to stay here and make sure this was the better place for my family. So it didn't allow me to grow into those bigger roles, which needed to either be in the UK or New Jersey or California. So no deep roots, no family here. Everybody we know in Tennessee is we've met along the way. But but we obviously like the no state income tax here. So compared to New Jersey, so it's a big perk of living in Tennessee.
Those are some pluses. Now, how did you meet Rick and the Regenx team? So you said you were in sales and then you met the team. So how did that come about?
Right. So I was in sales for a company called Haraeus, which is a competitor of Johnson Matthey's. And so Haraeus is considered what's called a primary precious metal refiner, just like Johnson Matthey. And so I had actually reached out to Greg Pandura, um, because I received the lead that they were going to be generating this black powder, and that black powder needed to be further refined. So I sent Greg an email basically saying, "Hey, I'd be interested in learning more about your company and possibly recycling your outputs." And typically CEOs just ignore your emails, right? So I wasn't, and cold calls. So I wasn't necessarily expecting a response. Greg responded pretty quickly and introduced me to Don and Rick by email. Rick and I set up a quick phone call. And so from there, we had a couple meetings at the plant, and I kind of, as their sales rep, just helping them be successful, had walked around the plant with Rick and made suggestions on things they could improve, ways they could do things differently, just from my experience, just to help them be successful. And then I guess at that point, that's when Rick and Don had talked about possibly approaching me about joining.
Okay. Well, this is a great part where we can lead into finding out uh, what Rick gets up to and how you two kind of work together. So, why don't we just sort of move over to you, Rick, and you can sort of tell us about what you do, how you do it, and how like you and Bob kind of, work collaboratively together.
Sure. First comment I want to make though is Bob said we had a quick phone call our first time we chatted, uh, an hour, maybe a little longer as a quick phone call. I guess that's kind of how we come back to New Jersey on that one. But anyways, it's good. Yeah. So what do I do? Maybe I'll give a little bit of a background as per what Bob did. I started out early, about 17 years old, in business for myself. I started in the real estate side, building houses, and I always had a bit of a bug to kind of be my own boss and to build something, to create things, to start something and get them going and scale it. So I started in the real estate realm and got involved in network marketing as a young guy. I was, in my group. That was the way that you learned how to do business, was by getting around networks of people and developing some skill sets from other people that had done it before you. So I got involved in network marketing, built a business on the side from that. I was also involved in the trades. My whole family's background is refrigeration mechanics, electricians, plumbers, engineer type stuff with heating systems. So that's my dad, my brother, and uncles and so on. So I come from that, in the oil field realm of Drayton Valley is kind of where I started out. So I always had a background with that kind of stuff, with trades and setting projects up. And anyway, so when I scaled up my network marketing business, it enabled me to quit my job as a tradesperson, and I went full time for a few years. And then I got back into doing real estate development and into condo projects. I moved into the Edmonton area, Edmonton, Alberta, and I bought some apartment buildings. And back then, things were a little bit different, in pricing and opportunity. And I was pretty aggressive. I got out there and started kind of making it happen, and that's the only way to do it. So we did a bunch of condo projects. I got some people involved with me as my own business, and hired a bunch of contractors and built a business probably for about 7, 8 years in the real estate area. We made some profits. So I started getting back into the trades where I wanted to get going and building a business that was unique, that somebody had never done before. It kind of always inspired me to get into vertical farming. So I started a business back in Alberta. Now, that was probably close to 12, 13 years ago. We built the first and largest indoor aquaponic vertical farm. And we did it in Sherwood Park area. And really kind of an interesting project to me. Is something I'd never done before. No one had done in Canada yet, to that scale where it was commercialized. And that kind of where I cut my teeth on the idea of taking technology and just putting the people together and the dots together to make it work. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So I met a lot of people through the universities and so on, and as you can see, there's probably a little bit of a pattern happening here between Regenx. Don and Greg and the leadership team had met people in the universities and got some R&D going and wanted to scale a technology that no one ever built. So here's where I'm at today. I took on the president role in the United States, moved my family down from Canada. just to get down here and be kind of a key man on the area, so I can put the dots together, the people together, get permits set up, find a building to build our facility in, and just kind of make it happen. And that's what we've done over the last 3 years is successfully proven our technology at a commercial level. There's a couple tweaks that we had to make on some equipment as the market's aware of, but we're excited about where we're going because sometimes you got to step back once to go two step forward, and that's what we found is that what we did and have done is very valuable. It's exciting to see that we've got something that's truly unique and novel. So that hopefully gives you a little background on where I've come from, what I'm doing today, and what I'm excited about going forward.
It's interesting. So I work in technology, so I'm always sort of it's all about, you always run a beta, right? Like when you're launching a piece of technology, you run that beta piece. And I sort of see that just the fact that you had the opportunity to run the first plant in that first location, that's beta. And the next version that you guys are going to run, I expect every decision and everything that you sort of done, Bob, with your operations background, with your technology background, sort of every decision now it's just gonna make the next iteration of the next plant better. That's just sort of what I see happening here, listening to both of you talk, hearing both of your backgrounds, which is it's really fascinating. So what I would like to know, how do you guys work together? So, like, what's a day like for you guys when you show up to plant, or is it meetings? Like, what does the day look like for the two of you when you're down in Tennessee?
Uh, every day's different, which is been fun and part of the adventure, right? Is that most weeks Rick and I will talk on Friday about what we're doing Monday, but we don't know what we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, so a lot of it's just divide and conquer. Where our skill sets best being used based on what the need is for that week and potentially into the week after. So, I have a lot of background in this industry, running the equipment, sourcing certain components of the equipment, understanding the specs. When it comes to project management and coordinating, things like painting the floor and ordering certain equipment and making sure our team is being productive. Rick, has a skill set there that's valuable. And honestly, even with the move, I mean, there were days Rick and I were just loading moving trucks and doing that while the guys were cleaning up the rest of the plant. So
Yeah.
it's really been down to the level of Rick and I are loading moving trucks from the old facility to the new facility, unloading them. Rick got to drive a forklift again after many, many, many years, so he was enjoying that. Unloading the equipment.
It's going in. Yeah.
It's divide and conquer based on our skill set, and it's talking daily to say, hey, what are you going to do tomorrow? Where are you best utilized? And really, as you knock out each priority, it's something new rises to the top, right? As I said earlier, he was working on getting our floor coating sorted and all that while I was working on the electrical planning. The electrical planning's done now, the floor's down. So now he and I are on our next phase of, I'm attacking some poly tanks and some filtration stuff while he's pushing, more of the project side.
It's right.
Rick, do you want to add anything?
No, that's great, Bob. No, that's about right. I mean, we just do whatever it takes. There's a plan, and we have a execution per day, what we need to do per week, what we need to do in order to hit our timelines. And if something's not happened, we just get on it. You got to be the squeaky wheel, and that's the thing with people, right? You're in front of them, and you communicate well, and you get stuff done. So we're excited on that part of it. It's coming together really well.
But just to add to Rick's point, also with us both being entrepreneurial minded people, even though I worked for companies most of my life, I have more of an entrepreneurial mindset. We know you have to wear every hat at any given moment, right? Whether it's the financial, whether it's the operations, the lab, moving trucks, procurement. And so we do that. But right now, the team is 6 people on site. So we have a part-time engineer, a maintenance mechanic, 4 other operations slash maintenance people, and then Rick and I. So it's a small group right now that we're just getting after it together, bringing in pieces when we need it. And we just added a part-time college student to work in the analytical lab with us. So I'm training him now. This way we only need him as we only have to pay him as we need him versus having a full-time employee that you might not be fully utilizing. Based on how we wanted to better utilize our equipment and our facility and our plant and our labor, long term, it wasn't going to end up being the right fit. So we're building more of a modular type setup. Instead of buying off the shelf equipment, we're rebuilding our plant more of a piecemeal, flexible modular type system. And actually will end up being much more cost effective in giving us what we need. And by doing that, you better understand your bottlenecks of your pieces you already have, and then design out those bottlenecks. So in other words, our new reactor system is going to be 4 times the size of the other one, which was our biggest step and our biggest longest lead time. So instead of having to run 4 batches to get the same results through one reactor, we can run one of those batches, the leach batch, through that single reactor. And then we'll keep working over and over to work through those bottlenecks. So right now, what was our biggest bottleneck? We kind of captured that in this new design, and we're building along the way those pieces out. Even when we designed our restaurant, as a side note, we designed it so you started here and ended here, and it worked the loop. So we're kind of doing that with Regenx. We're starting with our leach step, which is a much bigger reactor. We'll then have some of our filtration steps, and instead of having to build official module 1, module 2, module 3, it might be module 1, and you need to add a piece or two to accomplish what you would have with a full module 2. Is that kind of capturing what you're talking about, Don? And that was just so, and it gives us much more flexibility in our facility. It gives us much more flexibility to continue with the feedstock, which has been our primary feedstock all along, but also allow us to bring in other feedstocks as markets change.
Exactly. I mean, really, I don't know if I can add much more to what Bob has to say on the module 1. I mean, we had a lot of developments that we figured out, a lot of efficiencies that have been figured out, and it was just it kind of a trial by error. And fortunately and unfortunately, it's the way it is with technology. When you're playing with things and scaling it, every time you take it to the next level, there could be something else that you weren't aware of, just based on viscosity or type of feedstock or type of chemistry or whatever we're dealing with in our industry. So these are things that they're the unknowns until you can test it at a scale that is representative. And that's where we're at today is we figured out now that we can actually run this 4,000-pound batch one a day, create efficiencies with staffing and with our actual process and our costs going in. So it makes us, very on the edge of really breaking through on some things that we didn't have before. So that's what I see the benefits of what we've developed and what we're putting into Newport.
And as we continue to grow the plant and we're running and working through each piece, continuous improvement, plant utilization, these are going to be big parts of what we're doing daily to make sure we're managing our labor accordingly and running the plant, in line with what's going to maximize profitability.
Do you guys have a unified vision? Like, is there a vision in the deck that you guys speak to?
So to say, yeah, the larger corporate level, I think it's, that's obviously, get the plant up and running, right? At the plant level for Rick and I, what's communicated daily, to the guys is really that we're going to be a team. A lot of times companies have maintenance employees and operations employees and lab employees and everybody at procurement, whatever, and they're all operating in silos. And we have a real opportunity here to have everybody interact together in a way where we all see the common goal and we all understand each other's needs daily, right? The maintenance person knows enough about the operations and their burdens, and the operations people know enough about the maintenance person, what they have to deal with. It's not, I broke this and maintenance fixes it. It's, hey, this is our equipment. It's the company's equipment. Let's treat it right. And, we are building a real strong foundation at the plant, right? When you look at just laying the right floor, laying the equipment right, taking the little extra time to design the scrubber and the piping and the pumps and the electrical so that you actually have a plug where you need it instead of 200 feet away worth of extension cords to plug in a shop vac or whatever you need. Taking that extra time to have a really strong foundation to build on this, but while doing it, make sure you're building a team and a level of camaraderie with this foundation, because this group of 6, 7, 8 people gets to set the whole culture for the future of this, whether we're 20, 30, 40, we're the foundation of that culture, on what this looks like, how we come to work every day, our productive time in the workplace, how we treat each other, and how all the different departments interact as we grow. So
Yeah. I would say, I mean, it's been a pleasure working with Bob and his experience and just his people skills and how to run a team and manage a team on the operational side. It's been a pleasure. All the people we've hired, we've got great people. We've got an awesome team, and they're committed. I mean, some of them are driving from Greenville to Newport now, which is about a half an hour, maybe a little more away from where they were initially hired. But they love what we're doing. They see the vision. They want to be part of something special. And we're building that in this, I believe that will be a real special niche in the secondary refining industry side. So really looking forward to this thing coming together as we're planning. And like I said, we got fantastic people, and that's a key.
How are you guys participating in anything in sort of in the neighborhoods, in the communities? Like how do people in the community know about you? How do even people even find out about you?
I was able to make a connection pretty early on with the head of economic development for the city of Newport and now and the county. And so through that connection, we've already built relationships with the local fire department. We've already started to build relationships with the Chamber of Commerce. They did an announcement about our business coming to the area. And actually through that, because of the local teacher who focuses on STEM in the schools for the young people, she had a connection at ETSU, which led us to finding our chemists for the lab that's out in Johnson City. So there's been this whole continuous, but I believe very strongly in having strong relationships with the local law enforcement and fire departments and emergency response teams. When I ran the facility in Sevierville, which is about 40 minutes from Newport, we actually had the fire department come in and actually so if they needed drills for qualifications each year, we'd let them do them at our facility. So it's our same vision here. We've already had 3 meetings with the local fire inspector and fire department to say, hey, before we design our plant and build our plant, how is this going to impact you if you ever have to come in an emergency? What are you okay with when we build this? So they're not finding out later and say, why'd you do that? But they're part of the plan in the process. Once we're up and running, we're going to host a tour, local Chamber of Commerce and economic. They have an industrial development board in Newport. So we'll host them as well. And then we'll also bring the local firefighters in so that they can walk the facility and know where things are. So it's a lot safer for them if there's ever an emergency. They'll know where they're going and what they're doing.
And Rick, what a commitment from you, moving your family down from Alberta. That's amazing. So
Yeah, it's been a great adventure.
I bet. So are you at 2 years now? Was it 2 years ago that you moved your family down?
Almost 3, 2.5, over 2.5. Yeah. So yeah, it's an adventure. I mean, it's neat moving from Alberta, Canada to Johnson City, Kingsport, Tennessee area, Tri-Cities. It's been a really neat time for our family just to take it. I mean, I got young kids, so got a 10 and 8 and a 5-year-old boy. So they're all boys and they love it down here. They're enjoying the weather. They're enjoying the people. I joke around about a lot of things. I mean, I thought I was in redneck country when I moved down to Tennessee, but I realized my whole family are much more redneck in Drayton Valley, Alberta. So it's great. I feel like I fit in. So
Quick note. The information shared in this series is for informational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice. We encourage everyone to do their own research and consult with financial professionals before making any investment decisions. Our discussions will focus on our business operations, growth strategies, and our commitment to transparency in everything we do.